History often paints figures in black and white. But what about a ruler known as both the Red Sultan and the Great Modernizer? This is the story of Abdul Hamid II, the last powerful sultan of the Ottoman Empire, a man who ruled during its most chaotic final decades. His reign, from 1876 to 1909, was a desperate, high-stakes game to save a crumbling empire from both internal decay and external enemies. So, was he a ruthless tyrant or a visionary leader? Let's uncover the secrets of the Sultan history! Almost forgot! When Abdul Hamid II ascended the throne, the Ottoman Empire was on the brink of collapse. Decades of political instability, crippling economic crises, and constant threats from European powers had left the sick man of Europe gasping for its last breath. His predecessors had been deposed, the treasury was empty, and nationalist rebellions were tearing the empire apart. In this storm of chaos, Abdul Hamid II knew that business as usual meant certain death for his empire. He needed a secret strategy, a bold plan to reverse the tide. His plan was a delicate balancing act. He believed the empire's survival depended on two things: rapid modernization to catch up with the West, and absolute centralized authority to keep the fractured empire together. This wasn't just about copying Europe, it was about selectively adopting its strengths while resisting its political influence. To achieve this, he focused on three key areas: technology, education, and a powerful unifying ideology known as Pan-Islamism. This was his secret formula to breathe new life into the old empire. First, he revolutionized the empire's infrastructure. Imagine a vast, sprawling territory, difficult to govern and defend. Abdul Hamid's solution: railways. He initiated a massive expansion of the railway network, the most famous being the Hejaz Railway. This engineering marvel connected Istanbul all the way to the holy city of Medina. It wasn't just a track. It was a lifeline. It allowed for the rapid movement of troops to quell rebellions, boosted trade and economic activity, and crucially, made the Hajj pilgrimage easier for Muslims across the globe, strengthening his religious authority. Alongside the railways, he built thousands of kilometers of telegraph lines, creating a modern communication system that allowed him to project his power from the capital to the farthest corners of the empire. Roads were paved, ports were modernized, and the empire was physically stitched back together. But steel and steam weren't enough. The Sultan knew that a modern state needed modern minds. So, he launched one of the most ambitious educational reforms in Ottoman history. He established hundreds of new schools across the empire. These weren't just traditional religious schools. They were modern academies teaching science, engineering, medicine, and law. He founded the first Ottoman university in the modern sense. Perhaps most radically, he opened schools for girls, a revolutionary step that began to transform the role of women in Ottoman society. By creating a new generation of educated doctors, engineers, officers, and administrators. He was building the human capital needed to run a modern state. This educated class would ironically later challenge his own rule, but the foundation he laid was undeniable. Next, the military. An empire under constant threat needs a strong army. Abdul Hamid II invited German military advisors, renowned for their expertise, to completely overhaul the Ottoman army. He equipped his soldiers with the latest rifles and artillery from Germany. The navy was upgraded with modern warships, and new fortifications were built to defend the empire's vulnerable borders. He established advanced military academies that produced a new caliber of professional officers. This revitalized military proved its worth in the Greco-Turkish War of 1897, where the Ottomans secured a decisive victory, stunning European powers who had written off the empire's military might. The modernization didn't stop there. He reformed the state itself, centralizing the bureaucracy to give him greater control and efficiency. He understood the importance of public health, especially in an era of deadly pandemics. New hospitals and quarantine stations were built, and modern medical practices were introduced. To better manage the population and economy, he ordered the first modern, comprehensive census and reformed the tax system. He also tried to stabilize the economy by encouraging foreign investment, while simultaneously attempting to reduce the empire's crippling foreign debt and control. He introduced modern banking systems and agricultural techniques to boost productivity. He was, in essence, trying to build the entire apparatus of a 20th century state in just a few decades. But perhaps Abdul Hamid's most powerful and controversial weapon was ideological. With the rise of nationalism among Christian subjects in the Balkans, The old Ottoman identity was failing. The Sultan needed a new glue to hold his diverse Muslim populations together: Arabs, Turks, Kurds, Albanians, and more. He found it in Pan-Islamism. He heavily promoted his role as the Caliph, the spiritual leader of all Muslims worldwide. This wasn't just a title. It was a political strategy. He sent emissaries to Muslim communities in British-ruled India, French-controlled North Africa, and Russian Central Asia, presenting himself as their protector against European colonialism. The Hejaz Railway, connecting the Caliph's capital to the holy cities, was a powerful symbol of this Islamic unity. This strategy made him a hero to many Muslims, but a dangerous threat to the European colonial powers. However, the Sultan's secret strategy came at a great cost. His drive for centralized authority morphed into authoritarianism. To maintain control and suppress dissent, he suspended the constitution he had initially granted, dissolved the parliament, and established a vast network of spies and secret police. Those who opposed him, especially the liberal and nationalist groups, were harshly suppressed. His most formidable opponents were the Young Turks, a movement of Western-educated intellectuals and military officers. They admired his modernization but despised his autocratic rule. They wanted a constitutional government and more freedom, ideals that directly clashed with the Sultan's vision of absolute control. The European powers, wary of his Pan-Islamic influence and eager to carve up his empire, constantly worked to undermine his authority. Ultimately, the very forces he unleashed turned against him. The modern educated officers he had trained in his own military academies became the leaders of the opposition. In 1908, the Young Turk Revolution erupted, forcing Abdul Hamid to restore the constitution. But it was too late. A year later, in 1909, he was officially deposed and sent into exile, ending his 33-year reign. His legacy remains one of the most debated topics in modern history. Was he the Red Sultan, a tyrant who suppressed his people and presided over massacres? Or was he a tragic, visionary modernizer who fought a losing battle to save a dying empire? The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. He was a product of his time, a ruler who used ruthless methods to pursue what he saw as a noble goal: the preservation of his state and faith. Many of the institutions he built, the schools, railways, hospitals, and bureaucracy, outlived him and became the foundational pillars upon which the future Turkish Republic was built. Abdul Hamid's story is a compelling drama of power, progress, and paranoia. It reveals the final, desperate struggle of a once mighty empire, grappling with the overwhelming forces of modernity. He is the Sultan that history has often misunderstood and overlooked. A complex figure whose modernization efforts were as crucial as they were controversial. His reign proves that sometimes the line between a savior and a tyrant is drawn by the victors. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the secrets of the Ottoman Empire fascinating, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. See you next time!